What is up? I'm Jared Walsh. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, May 11th, and this Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? What's up, everybody? Good to be back on another big Thursday. Not quite as big a Thursday this weekend as last, but yeah, I'm excited to get on and kind of move on from it. We got a big card at Belmont coming up, and Belmont's been good to us so far, so hopefully we can keep that going.
It never amazes me that every time it's like we're always late. What do you mean? Like if you're here on time, you're early. That's the way I look at it. If you're here on the start time, you're early. Yeah, so I was going through some of the. This is a good time to. Obviously, we'll talk about the Derby. We have a whole segment of Derby related content to talk about. Kind of put a bow on that. There's a couple videos out there from all of us. Kind of our perspectives. I think is interesting. Samich picking Mage and kind of how he got to that horse. Me kind of going through a few of the horses that I thought were impressive or. And then you kind of just digest the whole race as far as the trip notes goes. All those videos can be found right here on our YouTube page. So make sure you guys go check that out after Blinkers Off. But yeah, Mage wins the Kentucky Derby. Tappa Trice runs 7th. We'll get into it, but like quick thoughts as you've kind of had a little time to go through this.
Well, I mean, it's just a horse in Mage who did something you just don't see very often to make a wide, sustained move all the way through the turn there and really at the beginning of the turn all the way through the stretch and not flatten out. And Castellano made every right move to get him where he needed to be. So you have to give complete credit to him. I fell in love with Maze watching that over again because it was just like, man, he ran huge. 2 fills as well. Really big race from those two. And look, I mean, we'll get into it, but Maze just was able to do it, man. He just ran the race of his life. I don't know if he can do it again or not. That'll be the debate coming up next week.
Yeah, he the more you watch that replay, it's like you can whatever, like get upset about it if you didn't have him or whatever, but you got to look at that and just, man, that was, and I said it on my video on my kind of what we learned. Like, I really wish Forte would have been in the race because my original bet was a bunch of horses on top of Forte, and I think it would have hit. Because I don't think Forte was beating him on Saturday. I think it would have, Mage just ran. You don't see that ever. You don't see a horse, like they may break terrible and then they like weave around, but just for a horse to kind of get stopped and they start with Mage, it was just like he broke bad. He was in right there by Tappa Trice in the back of the pack, and then he made this just one huge sustained run the whole way around.
Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it watching it back. And of course, you're watching it live, you just don't see it. You don't really see what exactly happened, who did what or whatever. You just kind of look and it's like, okay, it's a big mess of horses and then a couple emerge. But when you look at it back, it was just like, I can't believe he was able to sustain it. And then 2 fills to catch him because 2 fills wasn't really slowing down much. That was something. And I'm with you. And I think, a lot of people, thought Mage had a shot, thought he could get a trip, thought, this, that, the other. Nothing really went right for him early in the race. He did find some, ground to kind of get in, and he kind of beat some horses to the holes, but it wasn't the cleanest trip. He took a ton of dirt. He had to go wide. Like I assumed when I was going to watch it back that he weaved in and out of traffic. No, he just hung wide and came on. I mean, it was really incredible. Oh, think you're on mute there, Magic.
I'm on mute because my kid is just yelling. And he's like talking about poop and doing things like that because he knows we're on air. Right. And so I have to keep muting it as, I'm not, I know that's a Magic. Take a shot. Listen, we'll talk more about the Derby here coming up. We'll do a replay. We'll put it on the screen. We'll talk about it and kind of go through that. By the way, speaking of Derby winners, how about this one? I saw Eric Reed out of the Rich Strike Trainer. I saw this earlier. We were texting with John White and about it, and it's like, I can't help but laugh a little bit because I got so much shit for saying that, okay, this was a terrible story, like whatever. In this Rich Strike situation, not only is he not won, he's awful now. He's beyond awful. He ran on the Derby undercard. How did he ever win? I don't know. And now it's one thing after another. They're taking him to court trying to win a race because of the Hot Rod Charlie thing, and then now there's out. Eric Reed's out because apparently the owner gave him an ultimatum about they're making a movie or something about it. It's like it's crazy, right? Like it's just like all these stories. It's like they sounded good at first, and now it's just like it keeps getting worse and worse. The whole that why did or how did Rich Strike win?
Well, unfortunately, these stories in horse racing that start like this, they seem to end poorly. It's just kind of it's just weird. You look at Mind That Bird and what all happened with that after it was over, and then California Chrome. And I know he wasn't a big long shot, but it was a long shot as far as how the horse being that good and all those people getting there. And then look what happened to that. And now you got Rich Strike. It's like I've seen this movie over and over and over, and it's just like they can't. I don't know, for one reason or another. And it's different things with each of these situations we're talking about. It's like they can't handle the success once it comes to them. It's all good and everybody's good and happy and excited, and it's a great story right up until after they win it. And then the months later, it just unravels every time. It's crazy. I don't know. It sounds like there's a big time dispute here.
Yeah, so the basic story, as reported from DRF from Nicole Russo, was basically that Rick Dawson, owner of Rich Strike, gave him the ultimatum about a media deal. It was announced last week that the Omaha Productions of NFL great Peyton Manning would be producing a documentary on Reed and Rich Strike, as well as a companion scripted film. The Sports Business Journal reported that Reed and Manning had met last fall for Manning to make his pitch on the project, which will be distributed by Prime Video and produced in partnership. Blah, blah, blah. The Sports Business Journal wrote that the documentary is in development and then further along than a scripted movie, which is still searching for the writer and director. So there's going to be a documentary, supposedly, and a scripted film on this story. And apparently, Dawson posted on his Facebook page that there's a trademark in place to protect the unauthorized use of Rich Strike, his name, image, and likeness. So they obviously, you know, have tried to trademark that, but supposedly there's some. My guess is greed, right? And I saw a post on greed is crazy. Like, you know, Reed wanted something more out of the deal. Now the owner's saying, no, I want the deal because I own the horse, and they can't come to terms, and now he's out as trainer. So what a joke. I mean, really.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, it always ends like this. It's just wild. You think about Mind That Bird and this trainer, he's limping over there, and then by the end of the year, Dwayne Lucas is training the horse, and it's like, what now? What happened?
Yeah.
And then of course the Chrome thing that unraveled on national television live. So I don't have to explain that one that much, but that was wild. And now it's this. So I don't know. I hate it, but again, I'm not surprised.
Brad Cox will get this horse to the Classic. Don't worry about it. So
I don't know. Where is he going? Has there been a story on
I
that
haven't
one?
seen anything. I don't know.
Let me see if DRF's got anything on it.
Who would want him after the way he's been running lately? Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, he clearly has got issues because he's not even. I mean, at least afterwards, he, after the races he ran last year, like while he wasn't winning, like he made it. He didn't embarrass himself in the races, and you're like, well, pace collapse and the perfect timing, the perfect storm, blah blah blah. You could at least sort of live with it, but the way he's just progressively gotten worse, it's just like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How did this horse? And everyone's like, he's back to Churchill last week. He's got to run well. You could have beat him last week. So,
Yep. That's, I don't know. I don't know where he's at right now. He certainly didn't look anything like you said, even not the Derby winning version, but the other version. He looked disinterested. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's part of it, but we'll see. I don't know. This saga It usually doesn't have a good ending, right?
Well, that's what's really funny about it is you watch the movie and whenever the documentary slash movie when it comes out and you're just the normal public's like, oh, what a great story, and in reality you're like, well, here's what happened
Yeah,
actually.
here's the truth.
They hate each other. They all hate each other.
Yeah.
If the documentary does air with them getting firing Reed, that's something I will watch for because that would be
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good segue into that. Why, Trish? I have no idea. Trish asked, "Why are we just finding out about Forte drug test in September? Last September, the hopeful. After the hopeful, he's reportedly tested positive for a drug infraction after he won the hopeful, and we literally just found out about it when Joe Drape kind of put out the hit piece of everything that's kind of been going on at Churchill, and of course with Forte being scratched, which that's the other part. I mean, now he's on the vet list, can't get off of it for 14 days, but so he essentially is eliminated from even contention of the Preakness. But then with the drug situation, it makes you wonder how healthy is the horse, how healthy was he ever? It's crazy. I have no idea why we're just finding out about this, but that is horse racing.
Uh, well, you just said it. I don't need to say anything, right? That is horse racing. I just can't. I don't know.
It doesn't
I
like
can't
nothing
even.
surprises me anymore though with this stuff. It's like you read this stuff and you're just like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I remember. I remember when we would
I-
get on podcasts when we were a little bit younger into the game, and just oh, the outrage. We were just so mad at this stuff that was happening, and now it's just commonplace, and it almost beats you down into a way, and be like, well, sure, we didn't hear about a positive drug test in September until May of the next year. Yeah, that makes sense. Right? I mean, that's where
yeah.
I'm at. It's just like, oh, well, of course he failed the test and nobody knew about it. I don't know. I don't have the
Well,
answer. I don't. I don't know why this happens, but that's racing right now.
Well, I'm at the point, and I was kind of telling you this the other day. Is like I'm at the point now where it's like, if we're not going to police this, like we clearly we're not,
Yeah.
and we're going to give some guys, well, and I'll just put it in a general sense. We're going to give some guys infinite bans. We're going to give some guys 3-year bans from the Derby and Churchill. We're going to give some guys nothing. We won't even find out about it, or we don't find about a Grade 1 2-year-old champion Derby favorite testing positive for something 8 months ago. Then what? Then why are we banning? Why are we even? There should just let them run. Just let them do whatever they want. Let them drug the horses. Let them. And I realize how stupid that sounds, but how can not just for the general, but for us in the betting public and us, it's like you can't ever know. Like if this guy, it's like, and you know how it is. You're like, well, this guy, I know these guys are cheating, but I just can't. They're still running.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. And what you kind of laid out there is actually exactly what's happening in the sport. Only every once in a while we find out about it somehow doing something, and then they got to make an example out of that person. But they pretty much aren't really policing it anyway. Anybody can know, look at and go, oh yeah, there's this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Well, we better use him because if we don't, we're going to get beat by this horse that he just claimed, and so that goes on every track, every day, and I don't do anything to those people. And honestly, I would love to know how many times things like this happen and we just never hear about it. It's like, yeah, he popped it positive, but they decided it's not a big deal. you
Yeah.
know, I, I'd say that happens a lot.
Yeah, you have to as a bettor, you got to figure out. Okay, well, this guy tested positive, or I heard this guy, or from us, like we have to dig around from our sources, like, oh, this guy did this, but I'm gonna bet him because I know, you know what I mean. And it's just like there's no regulation, there's no consistency.
Yeah.
How I don't even care if it was basic. Like there should the moment that happened, we should have found out about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy that it just never. I don't know. I don't know why I'm surprised. I shouldn't be at this point. By the way, yes, Magic did break the website. So no, the website is. I don't know if it's still down, but so bear with us. We've got we did an update on the site. Got a big product coming, whole thing coming out in the next couple days, and we think that might have something to do with the site. So bear with us. It'll be back. At least it didn't happen a week ago.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little concerned. It's usually not down this long, so I don't know what's going on.
That or, DRF is attacking us on
Yeah.
the, we have a cyber warfare going on the site right now. I don't know if something's happened. Yeah, new stuff. Big time update coming to the site. Shoddy, get ready. It's gonna be really cool. I think everyone's gonna really like it. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's talk about the Kentucky Derby. Today's show, we're gonna recap Mage winning the 149th running of the $3 million Kentucky Derby and what we learned moving forward. Then we're gonna get some rapid fire selections for the 3 stakes races this weekend at Belmont Park, including the $600,000 Man of War Stakes. Let's go. No, I'm not done. What are you eating over there?
Yeah, I don't really know.
What is that over there?
It's not traffic related.
Is that a donut?
We're definitely still down though. So it's been about 20 minutes, and that is usually when we're down and we contact our people, and they're working on it. It's 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes tops, and we've got it back. So not sure. We're gonna see what happens.
He's got a donut, a Krispy Kreme donut hidden in underneath the pillow over there.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's not good.
Saw him snacking away. I was like, "What do you got over there?" He goes, "Nothing." I walked over there, looked closer. There's Krispy Kreme crumbs all over.
Oh,
this is a donut. I mean, that's the life, right? Hide a donut underneath your pillow and snack on it while you're watching your iPad. I mean,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we can only. I'm just jealous.
Yeah, me too.
All right, let's pull this up and let's go. I mean, we can just kind of run through it. Let's see here. We'll go through it as many times as this is easier, at least easier to watch than last year's Derby. So,
oh yeah,
I don't feel sick every time I watch this one. So,
no, not at all.
All right. Like this one, it's like, and that's kind of what I said, like in my video, it's like this one to me was maybe you and I didn't have it, but if you would have told me that the top 3 finishers would be these 3 finishers, I would have said, yeah, I could see that,
Oh yeah.
But the way it happened kind of is probably the most shocking part of, because you would have said Mage won. Well, wow, he broke well. He must have broke well, must have been no, actually he was almost in last. Like, how did that happen? So, yeah, it's not totally an unbelievable result.
No, not at all. No, very logical.
Kentucky Derby 149 is in the books, and talking about history books, Halterman, we have a new, kind of a new trend. Maybe we need to start, forgetting at this point. Mage wins the Kentucky Derby, only making his 4th career start. He had not won a stakes race prior to coming into this race. How insane is that? Has not won a stakes coming into this race. Had not not ran a race, or not won a race, I'm sorry, since that maiden special weight on the Pegasus. This Pegasus undercard. And he wins the Kentucky Derby, joining a very short list with Apollo and Justify as being horses that did not run at the age of 2, and winning the Kentucky Derby. So at this point, and and that to me, a big reason why I liked Mage, but I couldn't pull the trigger with Mage was, well, there's a couple, but one, the fact that he hadn't won a race, at this level, or, or 2 turns or any of it. And also the Curse of Apollo thing. Like I still was a big believer in that, but I feel like I'm starting to kind of forget that a little bit. Don't you think?
Yeah, times are changing, and racing experience and that kind of thing. It's not really a thing anymore as far as these races go this early. It just doesn't really matter, because everybody's kind of doing the whole race 3, 4, 5 times and then take them to the Derby type thing now. So I don't think the Curse of Apollo is really a thing. That really wasn't one of my worries coming into this. My worry for him was exactly what he did. I had no confidence whatsoever that he would get the trip that I thought he needed to win. And that's why I didn't pick him to win the race, but put him underneath, because I thought, well, he'll break poorly. There's no evidence to say he's going to break well in this one. He didn't. He didn't break well at all. And I thought he'll get way behind. He'll come and make a big move, but it won't be enough. Well, I was all right, except for that last part, because it was enough. He was able to win despite as you're going to see on the screen, just a horrific, not horrific, but not ideal. It was not a good trip whatsoever.
Yeah, it was, and that was the thing. Like, I when you look back, well, thanks, Ad. There's a nice ad. When you look back, you're like, well, the picking that horse is not a terrible decision, because, like you said, like, even if he doesn't break, he's probably going to give you a run and not going to be a total embarrassing pick. Like, he's going to make an effort. He's one of those horses that has missed his break last too, and show that he can make a run off the pace. For him to do it the way he did it is what was just baffling. All right, so you can see here they're about to load here. What was crazy about this is as Tapit Trice believers and pick the horse, the moment he breaks, you think you're perfect. Great, he broke. Look at that, he broke perfect. Mage doesn't. Mage is right. Mage is behind him right now.
Yep.
And he just slowly fades back. He kind of doesn't really push him, and then Mage cuts him off right here. Boom, got that position, and that was a huge critical part of the that first stretch run, and why he was in a good position, all things considered, and Tapit Trice was not.
Yep. No, absolutely. And that's the first thing that happened of the first like 3 or 4 times where Mage beat Tapit Trice to the jump, right? And that was number 1. And then he does it again, and then he does it again up the backstretch. So Castellano made all the right moves as it turned out. Now you obviously have to have the right horse as well. And then the other big thing was Angel of Empire saving ground on the rail. You won't see it here, but you'll see it here soon. And Mage just zooms right by him, and you could tell Angel of Empire and Flavian Pratt looks over like, uh-oh, he's moving. And he just follows him whole rest of the way around the track to get third. But, he was able to get the jump on a horse like Angel of Empire, who Pratt was probably thinking, I'm in a perfect spot. I'm just going to wait and tip out. And then Mage went right by him, and he's like, oh, no, I didn't tip out quick enough. So it was just a brilliant effort by Mage. Mute it again there, buddy.
Oh my gosh, he's killing me. Like, he is killing me today. I do think that I would argue that, even though I'm not going to really criticize the ride, I do think Loveberry went maybe a tad early on him on Two Fields. I don't blame him that he did. He kind of saw the opening, had to go, and went. But maybe there would have been a little bit of something left here late in the race if he would have held off a little bit longer. But I don't want to get too critical. I mean, that's a tough decision to make in that moment. But I mean, Two Fields ran massive, all things considered. And Mage was hit once, maybe. The whole stretch. This is a horse that, listen, if he can run like that, and you and I know both. I mean, I love me some First Mission, but he's in trouble if his horse brings this race. The bottom line is, like, a horse to run that good, it's his 4th career start. Like, this is an extremely talented horse. Clearly, you have to be to run a race like this. Now, can he do it again? That's the question.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question, because this was a better race than anything we've seen from him. And that's not a knock on him, because he'd been running well, but this was at another level for sure. You kind of saw it in the Florida Derby. It seems like he made a similar move, and then that last 16th, I'm not going to say he flattened out, but he just didn't have quite that burst, to keep it going and to get by a horse like, say, a Two Fields. So it was incredible. It was just a really great effort from him. And look, Two Fields, I think Loveberry kind of just rounded the corner and said, let's go. Let's try to get up there. Let's try to take the lead. And I don't think anybody will get us. And, he really probably shouldn't have gotten past. He got passed by a horse that just ran an incredible race, but you got to give him credit, and you got to give Two Fields credit. He was right up there on that pace. He kind of got him to relax a little bit up the backside, but I think he was just up there a little too close, a little too long. And in the end of the day, he just didn't quite have enough left. But still, I bet if you would have told him, hey, you're going to run a triple digit buyer here, best one you've run, your whole life, they probably would have said, cool, we'll take it. And they probably would have thought they were going to wear the roses, and it just didn't work out for them. So uh, the top three really were excellent in this race.
Yeah, not only that, if you would have said, "Hey, you're going to run a triple digit buyer in the race, and you're going to be the leader at the top of the stretch of the Kentucky Derby," based off everything and the speed that we kind of thought that you didn't think it'd be as fast as it was, you would have said, "Wow, triple digit buyer, leader at the top of the turn, he's probably going to win," right? And certainly you're not going to say, "Well, if the horse is coming from 16th place to get the job done." I paused it here when basically when they first have started, kind of the start of the top of the stretch after breaking. If you could pause it here, and you're if you want to look at it two different ways, if you're a backer of Tapit Trice like we were, I felt I don't see how it's even remotely possible at this juncture that he's going to be in last place when they hit the wire. I mean, he's in a perfect position, just you would think, get up on the rail and be in like 10th, 11th place. On the flip side, if you would have paused it for the Mage backers, you said, "Hey, you want your money? You sure you want to make this bet?" Most people would say, "No, I don't think so."
Yeah.
Because the whole reason you liked him, he's not where you think he's going to be. And in fact, it gets worse from here. Um, and it's just like, I do think that Saez could have been more. I mean, he was aggressive out of the gate on Tapit Trice, but he could have been more aggressive the whole stretch to get him in a better position.
Kind of felt like once he got cut off, it was just kind of like, well, that's it. I'm
I
just
mean,
going to take him back.
Mage, Tapit Trice. I mean, they're
Yeah.
right there, right?
Mhm.
Like that's the thing. Like you can criticize, the ride and say, well, Tapit Trice was not, it's not as far back, but hey, so was Mage. He was right there. In fact, so was I believe one of those is Sun Thunder, and the other one might be Angel of Empire. So I
Mhm.
mean, an Angel of Empire ran, so it's like the bottom line is I get it, but Tapit Trice just he could have ran better than he did.
Yep. Yeah, he could have for sure. And like I said, when you see the opening two fractions, you're like, well, if you bet Mage, Angel of Empire, even Tapit Trice, it's like, well, I mean, it is setting up now. Whether they're going to be able to get there, what kind of trip are they going to get? How wide are they going to have to go? Blah 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 blah. You're like, I don't know, but it is setting it up for a closer. And again, I'll say it again. When I watch this race back for the next time to actually watch what happened, I looked at it and I said, "There's no way that Mage could have been wide this whole time. He had to, got the best trip, weave in and out of traffic." No, he just got him out to the outside and he just took off. So again, you just have to tip your hat to him. I mean, to make a long, sustained move while racing wide on that final turn. Listen, he ran extremely, extremely well. And you're right. If he runs that race back, there's nobody going to beat him in the Preakness. Forget about it. But will he be able to do that again is a whole nother debate.
Go. Gotta go poop. That's par for the course. I watching this back. By the way, I just seen some of these comments like, no, Forte will not. He can't run the Preakness at this point, and they're not going to run him in the Belmont. They've said if they can't run the Preakness, they're going to aim for the Travers. So you won't see Forte at all in the Triple Crown, which is shocking a little bit if you would have thought of this, a couple weeks ago. I say I know you're going to see Tapit Trice in the Belmont, so it's possible you can get a rematch in that sense, but not with not you're not going to have that. The Forte Mage thing. I think that's a lot of people want to say, and I know it's a bummer. If you're the owner, or or Repoli or Pletcher, because you're like, we beat this horse twice, and we couldn't run in the race, and it's like, even though I don't believe you would have won, that still stings, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
beat this horse twice. And by all accounts, you were beat the last race and you came back and beat this horse. So you're always going to be in the back of your mind, in the back of everybody's mind of what could have been had he ran in the race. Do you
Mhm.
really want to have a race? You probably will be all out.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree that boy, it would have been Would have been tough to beat him in that spot, but if you're an owner of Forte, you certainly think you would have beat him because you beat him before. And so that's got to be disgusting to sit there and think about that, But look, maybe Forte beating him in the Florida Derby just took it out of him too, and maybe that was kind of the start of some of his problems. I don't know. I don't have the answers, and there's no transparency. We'll never really know what exactly is going on with Forte and why all this happened like it happened.
I don't know, Dennis. I think you might be a tad bit of a hater still with the Tappa Trice train. I didn't see anything out of the race that would not want me to bet him back in the Belmont. Go. I would ask you to go watch Modonigal last year in the Derby, and what did you like about that? It's a very similar trip, very similar ride, very similar last eighth of a mile at the end of the race. Like, didn't seem very impressive at all in the Kentucky Derby, but Belmont he was. Like, I just the Belmont itself, between the traffic and the field, it's just it wasn't his kind of race. And listen, I was wrong. Like, I thought I thought he'd be able to get in a better position in the race. He couldn't. He didn't. He was too slow out of the gate, and ultimately in the Kentucky Derby is so detrimental. And he's the kind of horse that he needs everyone out of his way. He just needs to kind of keep going. He's like the faster, the longer the race goes, the more he speeds up, but it takes him the whole race, right? And if he gets stopped once or twice, which he did on the backside, that's enough. And I'm not saying he would have won the race because I don't think he would have, but he just needs too much things to go right. He's still, and I think the Belmont is that kind of race for him where he's not going to be, the Belmont is what it is. It's bred for, you don't have a lot of excuses in that race other than can you get the distance, and I think you can.
Well, I mean, it's also 4 or 5 weeks away, right? You don't know who's going to be in the race. You don't know what they're going to be up against. You don't know what's going to happen the Preakness. You don't know anything. So it's not, I don't even know why we're talking about it. It's when he gets there, we'll see. Like at this point, last year, Mo Donegal was not a horse I had circled to win the Belmont.
And
But
then when they came up, we were like, we love Mo Donegal.
exactly. So if just stop doing that kind of stuff. There's so much to go. Now, if it was even like the Preakness, let's say, and it was next week, then maybe because you kind of have an idea of who's going to run, but so many different things can happen before the Belmont gets there. And so we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm not sitting here saying I want no part of Tappa Trice. I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to bet Tappa Trice. We'll just see when it comes up. He ran the worst nightmare race for anybody who was backing him. Period. Everything that your nightmare situation, he did. Every box that he checked to be, well, this is a nightmare. He did every one of them. So when that happens, you just shake your head and go on. But again, another thing to think about with the Derby, guys, is this is a race where the data points are weird. They're not quite as strong as your regular race data points. It's a this year it was 18 horses, but usually it's a 20 horse field. There's weird trips. The dynamics of the race are very different. All kinds of things. So you go back and you look at the Belmont, or you look towards the Belmont, let's say, and you look at a race like the Bluegrass. That if he could sit that kind of trip, yeah, it'd probably be tough. And I thought he could sit that kind of trip with the Derby, and he couldn't. So is what it is. It was a bad call to think that he could, and he didn't. He didn't do anything about anything right, really, when it comes down to it. And like I said, then Javier Castellano did everything right on Mage. He when he needed to find space, he found it. When he needed to out jump another horse, he was able to do it. When all that kind of stuff, he was able to do it, including the last key was to get the jump on Angel of Empire, who was closing just as fast as Mage, but he started 2 lengths after Mage passed him. So that's just another thing. He beat him to the punch as well.
Let's talk a little bit about I know a big horse obviously going into the race was Derma Sotogake, and the Japanese / UAE Derby experience is still one of those things. It just continues to be a thing. And it's maybe one of the only kind of trends at this point you can really count on. Listen, I thought he ran incredible. I thought he ran great, all things considered. But he completely missed the break. Connections had said they wanted him to be. The plan was to be forwardly placed in the race. He clearly was not. And honestly, when they turned for home, he looked like he might be a winner. Okay, he's drawing from the 17th spot there. And you watch, I mean, when the gates open, his head sideways, and he just completely um, misses the break. Let's see if they, yeah, there you go. I mean, I mean, he's out of it from the get go. When I watched this back, two horses that I thought were the most impressive, other than like, those top finishers, was Derma and Disarm. Because if you watch this race, and Disarm is the real shocker for me. If you watch the race, Derma Sotogaki and Disarm are kind of close to each other most of the race. They're kind of side by side for a lot of the race. Now, Disarm got a little bit better trip. Kind of got the inside, cut some corners a little bit versus Derma. But I thought both of them ran extremely well, especially Derma considering the break.
Yep, I agree. I thought Derma was good. I know right after I was like, wow, he sucked. Another UA Derby winner that sucked. And I think it's way too strong to say he sucked. He was decent. He ran decent race. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. He ran decent, and with a better trip, who knows, but he was good. Disarm, I think it was just a lot of pace. A lot of horses came back, and Disarm does come with that run every time. It's just sometimes it's impressive and sometimes it's not. So I think he passed a lot of tired ones. He's going to have to prove it to me again before I think, oh, he's like some kind of monster,
Yeah, I definitely think the pace benefited Disarm the most out of these horses as far as like what that result really meant. But I was impressed with he's the kind of horse to me that when he has the right pace set up, when you have the right distance, all those things, like he's a horse that could, hit the board. He's a true horse, like in that sense. Another one that really I want to rewind it a little bit that I thought, all things considered, was Hit Show, the one. This is a horse I think is going to win a race eventually, a big one this summer maybe. Drawing the one spot, the dreaded one spot, dude. You can't really ask for a better trip from drawing the one spot. I mean, this is like it was one of those things that maybe preferably aren't inside of all these horses, and but he never really had a lot of traffic issues. You see him there, he broke well, he got in a position there, and he's in the kind of mid pack. Never really a lot of horses around. When they turn on the backside, he's in a nice spot. They turn for home. I mean, dude, if it's a mile and eighth race, he could have won the thing. Like he's a true horse. He's been a tough horse for a couple races here with tough, trips and bad post positions. But to me, he's a horse that I think is going to win one of these races eventually.
I think if he was good enough, he would have won this one. I mean, like I said, he got a great trip, and I don't want that to be a knock on him because he did as well as he could. I just don't think he's this type, right?
Yeah, I should rephrase that. I don't mean like he's going to win the Travers or something. I just mean like he's going to win like a stakes race, I believe, at some point, because he is good enough to win. He may have to catch the right field. Maybe it's a grade 2 or grade 3. But he is a quality horse.
To me, he's like Indiana Derby, Iowa Derby, West Virginia Derby. And if he would run like we think he would in that, then you'd try him again.
I mean, look at him right here. He's fourth place. He's worked a trip out. He's on the outside of horses after drawing the one. He's in third place now, turning for home. He's in second place in just a second. I mean, he's gaining on these horses, and obviously Mage comes by and is like zips right by him.
Well, but if you were paying attention, you see the big difference. He's working his ass off to make that move, and Mage is not. And that's why Mage is able to go on and Hit Show is done, because you saw him, they're whipping him, they're riding him as hard as they can, and then Mage just flies by in. This horse they're really not doing much with Mage. He hit him once or twice. That's about it. So it's crazy.
All right. I guess we can kind of pivot just real quickly before we put a wrap on this thing. Where are you at now? Because I know going into the race,
he's gone. I don't know what he was going to ask me, but here I am live on Blinkers Off by myself. He might be coming back. We'll see. He may be in the back. There he is. He's back.
it's it's going off the rails here today,
You're having a bad
guys.
day.
It between the site being down and here,
Yeah.
let's move it there. The site being down and yeah, I clicked the wrong button, took me out of the whole thing completely. What are your thoughts on Mage going into the Preakness at this point? Because I know going into the Derby, at least I thought, I was like, unless it's like a huge performance, like I don't know how anybody's going to beat First Mission in the Preakness. And now I go into this thinking, I think First Mission is going to win, but if Mage runs like that again, I don't think he can. So where are you at? Like, how are you going to kind of have to digest that thing?
Just going to have to make a gut decision. Was it a one-off or will he do it again in 2 weeks? That's all there is to it. If you are looking at this and you say to yourself, I think Mage will be able to run the same race he did in the Derby, you have to pick him because there's just not anybody else in that field that's had anything that's very close to that. And if you think, I think he's going to maybe regress a little bit, then that's when the other horses come into play. That's going to be targeting that race. But I think you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to go from there. Because if the Mage that showed up the Kentucky Derby shows up at the Preakness, I don't think they'll beat him. So that's the decision you got to make. That all pivots around that.
I do think that he's Mage has got a really good chance to go to the Belmont for the Triple Crown on the line. He's got that kind of talent. Now, I don't know if he can do it. That'd be an interesting, but I'd love to see a Triple Crown on the line. I think, dude, if because if you'd go into it and like before the Derby, you'd say what race fits Mage the best?
Preakness.
You'd probably say the Preakness.
Yep.
And so, I mean, he's got a great chance. And, and if you like First Mission, it gives you even better odds, because you're not all of a sudden, he probably very easily could have been the favorite of the race. And now you're going to get, maybe 3-1 on him or something. So, I mean, I think there's an opportunity there if you do like First Mission still.
I tend to lean towards Silver Charm. He says Mage wins by open links. I had First Mission. He means in the last race, not on the same level. He's not on the same level as the Mage in the Kentucky Derby. So I agree with Silver Charm. However, if the Mage from the Florida Derby or the Mage from the Fountain of Youth shows up, First Mission is on that level. That's the problem. You're going to have to make the decision. Am I going to bet Mage off that race in the Derby or some of the other races where then the door comes open and you've got not only First Mission, but a couple of others that could say, yeah, they could rise up and beat him if he comes back to him a little bit. So that's a big question mark.
Oh, you just stopped. you're just done.
Well,
listen, I kind of think that we don't quite. It's crazy to say this because he won, but I don't know what I don't know that we know what Mage is yet. He's missed 3 straight breaks. The last two have been really bad. He kind of, for what people thought he, because that's the thing. If you pick like Samich picked Mage to win, which was a fantastic pick, but he very clearly said, thought the horse would break and be in a better position. And that's kind of why you like that horse, because the horse would be, at the time, like a pace that's not super hot, would be close to it, would be kind of get first run. You think he can break. Well, he didn't. And he still won. So we don't even know what this horse really is. Can he break? If he does break, is he a different horse altogether? He's only ran 4 times. It's crazy to think, but he's a little Justify-ish, in terms of that untested. We don't know what he is, but he's just, it's like he is and he isn't. Justify obviously never lost. This horse hadn't, couldn't win. But as far as the raw talent, there is some resemblance of that.
Yeah, I mean there is. At the end of the day, I don't think this is a Triple Crown winner. I don't know that I'll even play him in the Preakness because it just kind of feels like, wow, he was 17-1 and he ran huge. Now he's going to be 8-5. I don't know. I'm going to try to take a shot against him. I'm not sold on him being that kind of level, but I think he ran that kind of level race once. And so can he do it 2 more times? I would lean towards no, but that's also not a disrespect on him. It's more of a, that kind of came at a, like with Justify, it was a buildup, right? And other horses, not just him, they kind of, they'd shown it in the past. This horse kind of came out of nowhere to do this time. I mean, yeah, I'm not sitting here going, boy, his Florida Derby sucked. No, it was a really good race, but nobody watched that Florida Derby and said to themselves, I think he's going to improve 12 buyer points. I think distance is going to be better for him. I think he can definitely win the Kentucky Derby from 16th. Nobody said any of that stuff. He defied the logic of why someone would pick him, and that's, again, sometimes you're right on the sport, in the sport, and you get lucky. And that's kind of what the Mage support was, because most people, like I said, it was, I think he has the ability to get such a better trip if he'll just break, because he does have that natural speed. None of it happened, but he still was able to win. And so I lean more towards he's a really nice horse, but that could have been a freakishly big performance from a horse that normally we're going to see more of that Florida Derby type. That's where I'm leaning right now. But you know what? I've got time. Next week is when you have to narrow that down.
Well, it's one of those. It reminds me of a story, and it's happened multiple times since. But it's probably the funnier ones. Is like there was that horse that back when we were just into the game, Snow something. I always bet. Remember that horse, Snow something. You always gave me shit because I always bet the horse. And the horse, I remember there was a day we were at the OTB, and I was like, this horse, like, the pace is going to be too hot, and like this horse is going to be coming up from out of it. I love this horse, and I bet the horse. The horse breaks, goes straight to the lead, wins gate to wire. I won. I cashed my bet, but the whole reason I picked the horse was because I thought the pace would be too fast. Yeah. And it's just kind of one of those things where sometimes we can be right and wrong at the exact same time, like you said. And that's unfortunately, or fortunately, if you had them, or unfortunately, if you picked against, sometimes you can be so frustrating. You're like, I knew that horse wouldn't break, and he still won. So it's just one of those things, right?
Yep. I know.
And that horse
again, that's just, I think everybody saw the talent on the horse coming into this. Everybody saw, yeah, he's good. He's got a lot of potential, but to put it together in that race at that moment with that trip was really something special. I mean, he deserves a ton of credit, because what he did that is not easy. You do not see that very often. Usually, like I said, you'll see it in the race before they make a big jump, and then the Derby, they'll make a little bit of a jump ahead. And it's like, oh man, they're really coming on. He jumped up huge in the toughest spot. So that was just just a fantastic effort.
All right. Well, there you go. There's a Mage wins Kentucky Derby 149. Will he win the Preakness and head towards the Belmont for the Triple Crown? Stick around and find out. Next week, we'll have more coverage as we get closer to the Preakness Stakes. Remember that year we were doing a live show and my brain stopped knowing how to pronounce Preakness?
Yes, I do remember that. That was wild.
It was it was like I had a stroke. It wouldn't. I couldn't say it.
Yeah, we were recording during that time. We weren't live. There was no YouTube or anything. And we literally couldn't hardly get through it. Yeah,
it was like a Preakness or something. I kept wanting to say Preakness Stakes,
right?
Or something.
Yes.
I was like, what is wrong with my geez, the good old days. Let's do 3 rapid fires here and we'll get out of here. We're gonna, not a lot of action this weekend, but you do have the 3 of the Man of War. You got the Peter Pan and the Runhappy. The Peter Pan, obviously, it's not an official, prep, but it is a sort of a prep sometimes for the Belmont Stakes, which of course is also ran at Belmont. And so it is a nice little preview for some of these horses that may or may not appear in the next month in the Belmont Stakes. But in the Man of War, you've got decent race, and you got Appleby bringing a horse over. By the way, have you noticed like Equibase did like a very subtle update to their site?
Yes.
It's like not a ton, but I think it works better now. It looks a little cleaner. The colors are like slightly different. But I did notice that.
I haven't had any issues with Equibase since they changed. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's better than it was, and I don't know if that means anything, but
yeah, and I it's a site that I'm trying to think about how to put this. It's a site that's had problems in the past,
like ours does currently.
Ours is up again, sort of. So
it's like it's up, but it's not.
We're back to it's up and it's slow. So I don't know what's happening to ours.
We might not have a site. Maybe we're the new Equibase. Maybe Equibase did it. I don't know. Maybe they're attacking our site after they got their new site. All right, let's see. It is a slight. I mean, it's a needed change more than anything, because it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, time for rapid fire presented by OG Handicappers.
What's up, guys? JerryWelchRacingDudes.com. Have you ever cashed a huge bet and thought, man, I wish I had a t-shirt to commemorate this victory? Now you do. That's right. Maybe you cashed in on a mutter.
His father was a mutter. His father was a mutter. His mother was a mutter. His mother was a mutter. What did I just say?
Look at that. A mutter. You got that. This is the apparel you've been waiting for. It's finally here. OG Handicappers. That's OGHandicappers.com. This is the face of horse racing apparel. It's not only horse racing. They've got golf. They've got lifestyle, casinos, cigars, betting. You name it. It features all your favorite. Look at that. So you cashed in on the front runner. Horse that went gate to wire. You know what? I need a t-shirt for this. Boom. You've got it. OG Handicappers. OG Handicappers has a vibe for everyone, and they even now have a ladies apparel. I'm thinking about getting some ladies apparel for the Tinder girls. Just bring them over. Here's a shirt for you. All right, OGHandicappers.com. Look at this. Get the exact. Maybe you cash in on a huge exacta. You know what? I need one. Or maybe you're the favorite of the family. Grade 1 bread. That's it. That's what you need. Follow them on IG, Facebook, and Twitter. Go to their store at OGHandicappers.com. Get yours today. Use promo code DUDES, DUDES, at checkout for a 10% discount. That's OGHandicappers.com. Go get it.
There you go. All right, guys, let's go to Belmont Park on Saturday for race 5, the Man of War Stakes, grade 1. It's weird that the Man of War and the Peter Pan ended up on the front half of this card. Race 5, Man of War, grade 1, 600K for 4-year-olds and up, going 1 and 3/8 miles on the turf. Field of 8 shows up here, led by what I would perceive to be your morning line favorite, number 2, Warren Point for Appleby and Dettori to ride. Haltman, I mean, obviously, anytime Appleby brings a horse over, you got to take, even if you don't know the horse, you got to take strong consideration. Looked good in the last couple starts. And the other aspect of this is there's not a lot in here otherwise. So thoughts on Warren Point?
Easy winner for me. This will be the single for me in the early pick 5, not the late pick 5, because I did put it in race number 5. So single for me. Listen, Appleby brought a horse over last week at Belmont. Romped, looked great. Was a single for us that day. By the way, we were having a great Saturday over at Belmont that nobody was watching because everybody was watching Churchill. But anyway, we're really, really good effort there. Warren Point, listen, 8 starts, hit the board all 8 of them. 5 of them are winners. I really like Warren Point a lot. So give me the 2 Warren Point, probably going to be a single for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here. The more I looked at this race, I mean, to me, it's like it's either Red Knight and Red Knight's going to be way too low of odds for me to want to bet. So, yeah, Warren Point, bringing it. I thought that race, you go back and watch that race last out, was a nice race. Got beat by a pretty good performance, but this horse came from out of it. This is a horse that had rattled off a couple wins in a row going into that. And, it's like past that, though. It's like when Appleby brings a horse over and Dettori is getting the mount. There's not a lot to question. Why question Appleby? Godolphin, Appleby, Dettori. I think Warren Point I'm with you here, is a very clear single if you need to go that route, and a clear winner here. So give me Warren Point, the 2-horse, to win as well. All right, next up, race 6, Peter Pan Stakes, grade 3, $200K for 3-year-olds going a mile and 1/8. Big field here. Well, fairly big field of 9. And listen, to me, I looked at this one and thought, if Bishop's Bay can get this distance, I don't know how they catch him. Bishop's Bay and Slip Mahoney, the Brad Cox team, coming in here. You also have a couple Todd Fletchers. You got Classic Catch, Go Soldier Go, first-time starter for him, which is an interesting addition here. Henry Q, a horse that was in the Sunland Derby. Thoughts here on Bishop's Bay? What do you think of him?
I don't think we've seen the best of him yet, and that's why I'm going to pick him in this race. He's been solid. I don't think he's been like just crazy good, unbelievable yet. He's supposed to be. They say he's really a special colt. I think the stretch out is interesting here. It's a good spot to try him. I think this is where you got to go with him. You got to try him here. He's won 2 in a row, so this is the spot. Look, I went with him on top. I'm not quite as sold on him as I was in the 5th race, where I said, hey, I'm just singling and moving on. Here, I'll probably use a couple with him, but I am going to put Bishop Bay on top. I think he'll be tough in this spot if he can kind of keep progressing. He just looks a little green to me right now. We'll see if he can kind of keep kind of developing.
Oh, sweet. As soon as I updated that to that race, the odds came out. So 8-5 on Bishop's Bay. 9-2 on Classic Catch. Listen, I really like that exacta here. I like Bishop's Bay, and I think he's very good. Obviously has the IB first mission to kind of boost himself up on that debut. Of course, that was only going 6 furlongs stretched out. I'm slightly concerned about the distance with him. I know for a fact they don't want to go to the Belmont after this because of the distance limitations they're concerned about. Now, that could change, obviously, if he looks like he just pulls away and wins for fun. But the play, I'm concerned that the distance might make the horse worse than he has been. But that said, I think he's very clearly the best horse of the race. I think he's a standout in the race. So I like Bishop's Bay here, but I think Classic Catch is with the blinkers addition here, I think he's going to run a little bit better. He's not going to be as far out of it. That would be the plan anyways. Gets Irad Ortiz back in the mount, who won on the horse 2 back. So to me, a Classic Catch, maybe even box him if I'm not a huge boxing fan, but I do like boxing. I don't like boxing horses.
I was like, I love boxing.
I love boxing. Or maybe you could, play a bigger value on the other way, put the smaller value on Classic Catch over Bishop's Bay. But I do think Classic Catch he's like, as far as the distance goes, this will be perfect. He's a horse that will be kind of running late. So I like those two. I like that exacta. But yeah, I'm just going to go with the class. And, it hasn't really, hurt me so far. The whole who his first mission ran against, and if they're in another, what was that horse? Quanterian, whatever that, on the undercard of the Derby. One was really nice. And, that the main reason I picked that horse was because he had ran against first mission, basically. And so that to me is a nice little sign, Bishop's Bay. So I'm going to go Bishop's Bay to win this race here. It'll be interesting to see how he runs, and even more interesting to what they do afterwards. All right, let's go to race 9, the Runhappy Stakes, grade 3, 175K for 4-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs. Not as exciting field of 6 lines up here. Halterman, where are you going?
Yeah, I don't like this race very well. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do as far as the pick 5 goes, but I have about a couple hours. I got to be on the Magic Mike show today, and we're covering this, so I got to decide. So I'm not quite sure yet, but tune in 3 hours. I'll be live to tell you. But anyway, I went Candyman Rocket on top. I do think this horse is going to bounce back. he had been running some really good races. Like he's always been okay, like solid to maybe a little better than just solid, but he would really look good. And then it really kind of went south on him last time at Oaklawn. I'm gonna just draw a line through that. I think if like the good Candyman Rocket shows up here, he's gonna win. So I think this is a small field. I think that'll help him too. I lean towards the 4-horse a little bit here in this spot with Candyman Rocket. Don't know how deep I'm gonna go yet though, but this is not a fun race like the other two where it's like we got superstars maybe in this. This is what it is, right?
There you go. I just updated. The odds are out. You've got 7-2 on the 4. I thought we would get a better price on the morning line, so that's a little irritating. The 2. I went with the number 2 at 5-2. Your favorite, Baron. I don't know. The former. I can't say that now. The former trainer of Rich Strike.
Sure.
Reed trains this one. Irad Ortiz gets them out, which I thought was very interesting. This horse has been really fast. It's got that whole like Laurel Parks, where the horse has been running. Now comes here, gets Irad, has the speed. To me, the horse has been working well. So there's a lot of signs here that the horse is as good as advertised, even going over to Belmont Park. By the way, one thing that was interesting, this horse has ran twice back in 2021 at Belmont Park and ran awesome. Won by 10 one time. Going 7 furlongs on a sloppy surface. Won again prior to that at 6 furlongs on Belmont. So I like the fact the horse has some Belmont history, and the horse at this distance has won 5 times in 10 starts, including 4 seconds. So if Irad gets the mount, got to think the horse is is doing well. So give me number 2. How do you say that? Baron?
Sure. I don't know.
Sure.
That's Ahmed.
There you go. That's my pick.
Okay.
I like this music.
It is good music, yeah.
Turn that off.
You
Take
like
watch the door, Cooper.
So
What? Yeah.
The website is up. That's good. We're working.
Hang on a sec.
Okay. I'll entertain the masses. So yeah, website's up again. I really think we might be under some sort of attack, because when we asked them, they said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just it looks like you got an influx in traffic." It's like, well, it's Thursday, so no, that's definitely not it. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I maybe on the Magic Mike show, I will share you the report that we're getting live from the team. But website is back up now. Yeah, I am. Shadi says running the podcast gauntlet. So what's left today, coming up 50 minutes from now, we will be live for Dudes Who Bet Sports. That's my dad and I. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this week. If you guys remember 2 weeks ago, last time we did the show, it was kind of wild. We had some fun times. Hopefully we can kind of do that again. And then at let's see, about 4 Central, so that's about 3 hours away, I will be filling in for Magic. I don't know what Magic's doing today, but I'll be filling in for him. And there's Cooper. Hello, Cooper. So I'll be filling in for Magic, and we'll be doing a little bit of that too. So a lot going on today. Late pick 5 coming up on Magic Mike show from Belmont Park. That should be fun. We'll cover the late pick 5. And it's weird how they put the 2 big races, the Man of War and the Peter Pan, away from that late pick 5. It's made it difficult. There's no doubt about it. There is a horse I've been waiting to kind of bet, who's been scratched because it's been off the turf the last couple of times. So we'll talk about that horse coming up at 4. But yeah, Dudes Who Bet Sports. Papa Dude will be excited. I can't remember what we're talking about today. Preakness and then playoffs, I'm sure. And then probably whatever after that. Cooper, what are you doing? I think he's got you muted, man. Cooper's muted, or I would ask him some questions. Tell us who you like, the Preakness Cooper will like Justify in the Preakness, no doubt. So, yeah, the Yorkie. I don't know where she went. She left, I guess. That's Millie. Millie is her name. Yeah. So I would show you a cat. Oh no, I would get my cat in here too, but she's asleep. You don't wake a sleeping cat. Come on. So I wish we could here. Let me see if I can unmute him. No, it will not let me unmute him. So I would ask Cooper some questions and he could answer them for us. So it's not to be. It looks like Cooper did get a haircut though. Maybe that's good. Yeah. So I don't know. Peter Pan. Is anybody going to go to the Belmont from this? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Classic catch maybe for Pletcher. He's got a pedigree that says maybe. Cooper so wants to talk, but I wish I could tell you how to unmute Cooper, but I can't. I don't know how you do it. And he really might ruin things for the show if we did that. So Dennis asks, why is the race named the Peter Pan? I have no idea. That's a really good question. I've always kind of, like I say, I've always wondered it, but I've always thought, well, that's a weird name. So, oh man. And as I was talking, really good news. Seems like the website is back at normal speed now. So it was back, but working very slow. Seems like it's working very fast now. So I think we may be back and up and normal. And so that's always good. When the website goes down, you always get a little bit worried. Any hope for Red Route 1 in the Preakness? Still wishing my boy could break. He was better in the bathhouse, right? He ran better. I think there's always hope no matter what race he's in. I think there's always hope he could hit the board. Past that, I can't sit here and say, hey, I think he can win. But I think he can hit the board. So we'll see. I'm a big fan of Steve Asmussen, me personally, and I would love to see him run well. I think Red Route 1 and Disarm both are going to be underneath candidates. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Shotty said, interesting that Perform Connections pay $150,000 to run in the Preakness. So Perform, yes, won the Tessio Stakes, which is an automatic berth into the Preakness, which is great. However, Perform was not Triple Crown nominated. So you have to pay that late nomination fee, and it is fairly expensive, $150,000, no drop in the bucket. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. I thought it was very interesting as well, Shotty. I wasn't quite sure if Perform would run or not. So we'll kind of see what happens there. So I've watched all of his races. Obviously, I think he is a solid horse. I think he's getting better. I don't know that I would have paid $150,000 to put him in the Preakness, but whatever. He's not mine, and so there's that. There's worse horses that have been in that race. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, hit the board candidate. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Did I have a friend on my feed over here?
Yeah, I was trying to unmute him because we were going to ask him some stuff, but he was muted, and I couldn't tell him how to unmute himself. Obviously,
a bug salesman that cruised up on a, what do you think call those little things? Or like you could just lean forward, and it goes, like you stand up and you lean forward, or whatever the things are called.
Moped?
No. I don't know.
Oh, hoverboard, like a.
Yeah, kind of like one of those, but it was had a little handle on it, and super high techy, and trying to pitch me bug spray, and quarterly payments and monthly payments, and it's just dude, I got shit going on over here. So, hey, Coop, come here. We'll ask him. You guys can ask him some questions. If we ask your question, get your questions ready. And we will hoverboard segue. Segue. That's what it was, Rob. Come here.
Okay. Yeah.
Were you trying to talk to the people earlier? You're muted though, so that they might have some questions for you. So I wanted you to hang tight here and.
Poopy.
Okay.
Poopy. Yep. Okay. Yep.
I miss my mama.
Hey, you what?
I miss my mama.
You what? Your mama?
Mama always said. Can you say that one?
Mama said.
Say the rest of it.
No,
Life is like a box of chocolates. He loves saying that. All right. So if you have questions for him, we'll ask questions for you. Okay. The boys were very concerned because as soon as I saw them on Saturday, they said, "Did Tabitha Trice win?" No, he did not.
Well, sit down, boys. I got to tell you something.
But unfortunately, another year I got to share with you that just like Tabitha Trice. Cooper, where did you put the green? Oh, right here. This is the old course. This is my grandpa's hat.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
it's Scotland.
Yeah.
Did he have it on?
He had it. I don't know that he ever put it on, but he did have it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's all the time we have, guys. Let's get that one here. Check us out at racingdudes.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button at the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Speaking of, is the site? Yes, we're back. It's running.
Yes, when you were gone, it seemed to have it's back to its normal capacity. So
it's still a little funky, but
it was back and it was really slow. It was back, it was kind of slow. It was back and it's working great. And now it's back and it's kind of between kind of slow and great. So something is definitely going on, but they do have it back where it's functional. You can go do whatever you want on it.
Well, by the time, just hang with us. It will be, I guarantee you whatever is taking place with our developers, it will be better. And the ultimate product is going to be a million times better. So just stay with us.
If you're ever going to start a website, okay, this is the number one piece of advice we can give you.
Okay.
Get good developers. Period.
Yep.
For years, we had bad ones, and we finally got good ones, and they make your life a lot easier. Because in the past, if our website would crash, they'd just get around to doing it whenever they wanted. But now, since we have good developers, emailed them, and within 1 second, he emails back, and they've been working on it ever since. So, but it is scary because these guys, if it crashes or even if it gets slow, like 5 minutes and it's usually fixed. This has been over an hour, so I am worried something serious might be going on with it. So we'll see.
But the one, like you're saying, like back in the day, I mean, we would have, like you said, we'd have to worry about it. Then you'd get quite like you'd be like, they'd say, "Well, is something they basically say like, is something you did?" Like, no, I didn't do anything. Like, just fix it, And so you're like, I don't know if maybe I did do something, but it's not my job. That's your job. And so these guys, we literally just, we outsource everything, and they host it. It's all we have a dedicated server that they handle. Back in the day, I had to handle the server. I had to get the server myself. I had to do everything. And I figured that's another thing. You figured out everything on the fly, which is great. But now it's like, I don't have time for that. And so you just literally say, hey, Derby's coming up. We need you to increase the speed of it. Boom, do that. Hey, lower it. Boom. Hey, the site's not working. Boom. This whatever. So, it's through the cloud. I know as far as the server, but I don't know any specifics on it because I don't have to know any specifics about it. I know it works.
Yeah, and the amount of time that our website is down is almost zero now. Now that we have good people, right?
Yeah.
When the website goes down, it's one of two things: a random act of just crazy weirdness. Today, I mean, this happens maybe once a year, or so much traffic that we couldn't have guessed would have come to the site. That's
I mean, we've learned the lesson. If you guys have been around with us for long enough, you've some of the Derby, Breeders' Cup, those kind of days where the site might be performing a little slower than usual, and it's just we weren't prepared for the high intake of people on the site, and we weren't the site or the server got overloaded. We don't do that now. Obviously, we're a lot more we're not reactive. We're prepared for it now. But perhaps it's time for some technical analysis. Yeah, good one. All right, guys. By the way, speaking of big days, the Preakness Betting Bible is now available for pre-sale. The final version will come out next week, but go ahead and get your hands on that Preakness Betting Bible, now available at racingdudes.com on the products page. Halterman and I's bets, including everybody else's on the team. Top 4 picks from the entire card on Preakness Day at Pimlico, May 20th. You also get pick 5, pick 3, and daily double tickets from myself and Halterman. And you'll also get that, betting instructions, exactly how to bet. And, Halterman, hopefully we can do a little better.
It was bad. That took some time to get over. Let's put it that way. But probably 2 of the worst days of my life betting comes at the absolute god awful worst possible time. So yeah, not good at all. But yeah, hopefully be better for the Preakness. All you can do is just move on and learn from it and go on. So Preakness coming up, and we'll head to Baltimore.
The only thing that makes that worse is that it was also my 2 worst days of my betting career as well. And it was insanity, like how it worked. The both of us had these terrible, we had, I don't know how many bets listed between the 2 days total. I think I probably had, in the ballpark of 15 or so. You may have had a little shy of that. We combined for 3 cash tickets.
Yep.
Of those bets. I was shut out Friday.
Yeah.
And I snuck in a chalky double on Saturday. And that's the other part too that's tough, is when we make these, like, you got to have, and obviously the Derby was a freaking mess with Forte, and but it's like you kind of have to assume, it's like, okay, what do I think the Cody's wish into whatever double will pay? Should I play it now? When you're playing it live, maybe you're not, if you see the wheel pays are $6 or whatever, you're like, well, that's dumb, I'm not gonna play, or I'm gonna play it for more. But when you're making the thing, you kind of have to just guess, and I definitely thought it'd be higher than that, but at that point I didn't care. I was happy I cashed the ticket. That's how bad it was.
Saturday night, Sunday, even bled over into Monday. I that was like my low point from starting this way back in like 2013 to now. I was just like, doesn't get any worse. I was in a bad place. But the thing about it is, with racing, you especially with me, I've got to move on. Like, Sunday we had Belmont, Sunday we had Gulfstream, and you got to just move on. And did hit a few things at Belmont. Well, hit a lot Saturday, hit a lot more, a few more things Sunday. And so it's like, I know I'm not losing it or something here. Like, we're having success everywhere else, but to go through that on Derby Day, it was really not a pleasant, 3 or 4 days.
Trust me, and that's what I want to make sure everyone, like, because and actually, all things considered, the emails weren't as bad as I thought they would be. Had a lot of positive emails as well from people, and I really appreciated that. But
yes,
you talk about 2 low people. It was Halterman and I. We were afterwards, talking, and it's just like we felt, I was like, I want to give, like, people don't realize we're just like not just throwing out this out. Like, we're not only are we betting in ourselves, which sucks, but you're like, we take such great pride in helping people and doing well. And it's like, I wanted to give my own money to people just because I felt so bad about how bad it performed. And you're right. I had to really kind of unplug for the next couple of days and kind of reevaluate my life. But, it was just, I think we've all had those betting days where you just feel like you can't do anything wrong, where horses break well and horses get the perfect trips, and they get to the wire, and they put their nose down it's like, you can't. This was one of those days that's the exact opposite. It was, if a horse can miss a break, they missed a break. Extra nail misses a break, boom, can't hit that one. The worst of the day on Saturday was when Goodnight Olive couldn't get up. I played that try. I played pretty much a cold try with her in second. All she needed to do was get second. I didn't even need her to win. How she didn't do that, it's like, oh my gosh. There would have been so much made off that one. And, then you go even past the Derby with Equivoke, the Pletcher horse. I was like, well, at least we got one of these. Nope. You just felt like you were snake bit the whole day. It was just one of those days. And like you said earlier, it sucked that it happened of that day of all days.
I hate it for everybody. And, we had done so good with that. But listen, I still think the betting Bible is the best thing we've done as a product, and it is shown. The Bluegrass and the Lexington and the Florida Derby is just they great, and to build that kind of momentum and then that happen is just it just makes you want to throw up. I mean, it was just sick, and yeah, West Willpower.
Yeah, dude,
That
we
was
should have just quit after that one because you look back now and you say,
I don't even want to talk about that one.
and I don't want to be very clear about West Willpower, and like we have people, we know, and it's like not like Halterman and I liked West Willpower. I think a lot of people did, but when the trainer of the horse of West Willpower tells you this horse will not lose, you kind of feel confident about it, and then like that's that's when you know it just wasn't your week.
Let me jump in because I know what people are thinking. Well, how dumb are you guys? The trainers always think that. Okay, here's the deal. We've been around a long time, right? We know what trainers are full of shit, and we know what trainers say that, and they believe it. Or they're not that they believe it, but it's true. That barn, we know what horses are going to fight. You look at our other Bibles, you can tell.
Yeah.
Our intel in that barn is really strong. I handicapped it without knowing anything. And I said, I think West Willpower is going to be tough. And then we got info from that barn that he's not only going to be tough, he's going to be really tough. Like we love him more than we love any other entry that we have for those 2 days. And again, this is not like somebody like Lucas or Romans telling you that where it's like, yeah, whatever. No, this is stuff that we've had year after year after year that's come true. And of course, on the biggest day, it doesn't, and that was the start of it. And that's blatantly honest right there. That's exactly what happened. I didn't play the horse just because of that. I handicap, I always handicap it first, but you look back at like Squire Creek on Bluegrass Day, you look back at First Mission on the Lexington Day, the same strategy that cashed those big win bets or in your case doubles or whatever was the same strategy we used for West Willpower. And it, again, the biggest day, it blows up on you. So crazy.
Well, on that light, you got to think we're due, right? So go get the Preakness betting Bible right now. I will say this, and I think it obviously we're always focused, but you're going to get two guys' best amount and most critical amount of detailed focus analysis for this guide because we want to do well for the Bible. Dude.
I'm not.
Oh, yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm going to do what I always do because what I always do is, that's why we're here. So I'm not changing anything. This whole website is built on that. So I'm not going to overanalyze. I'm just going to do what I always do. It didn't work out. It's racing. Don't overreact. That's my, I guess I'm telling you too. Don't overreact to one bad day.
I just meant we're not just throwing it in after a terrible week. Like
I've never thrown it in though, ever.
Well, I mean,
so that doesn't apply either.
Based off your picks in the Derby, I thought that's what you did. So
that's according to some people. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, yeah. Or you're given the wrong pick so you can bet the other ones. So
that's been my favorite one that we gave all the bad picks so we could bet the real picks at better prices. That's been my favorite. Yeah.
Which Halterman told me we laughed about, and then I said it's a pretty good idea. Like maybe we should do that. Yep. So all right, guys. That's all the time we have. Make sure you follow us at Twitter, on Twitter at race_dudes, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find episodes of Blinkers Off on our podcast page on racedudes.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the places you listen to podcasts. We are there. The website is back and humming. It looks like the Magic Mike Show will be back later on this afternoon for the Belmont Park Saturday late pick 5. So, of course, you won't get the analysis that we gave on those first two, but you will get that Runhappy Stakes in there. So see what they think of that as well. Halterman, final thoughts as we head into Preakness week.
Well, I think Belmont has been so good so far. I'm loving that it's back. They've got really great racing this week. So I'm just gonna enjoy Belmont. Let's all focus and have fun there. Churchill going as well, but kind of bad taste in my mouth. We'll see if we can get that out of our mouths this week. So a little fun week ahead, and then right back, all hands on deck for the Preakness.
You like things in your mouth
No,
or out of your mouth? So you said
what?
nothing. You said get it out, get that bad taste out of my mouth.
Bad
Do
taste.
you like things? Never mind. It was a good attempt at a joke, but just swinging a miss. All right, guys. All right, guys. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. He's Cooper. I don't know where he's at. We'll see you guys next time.